Et gaff til a gaff. Et gaff til a gaff. I'm in with the till a gaff. Illy with the till a gaff. Nit gaff, nit gaff. Nit gaff, nit gaff.
So this is a quick thing. I've alluded to this many a time. I don't know if I've said it very specifically, but I want to make a very quick podcast entry just to be 100% clear about this. This is why when I hear people talking about coronavirus being part of the Great Reset and being part of an international cabal whose purpose is to put humanity under the thumb and some matrix shit and whatever the version of this, coronavirus is a international governmental conspiracy to control the world. Let me explain to you why I don't give a shit. I was trying to find my swear word there. Shit seems more natural, so I don't give a shit. But the truth is, I don't give a flying fuck. And that's the truth. And let me tell you why. If you go back to one of my earlier podcasts, damned if I can remember which one it was, I talk a lot about when the whole Occupy Wall Street thing came along. And the fact that I was pleased that people had finally worked out that the world was unjust in the way that it was organized. But my thing was like, yo, you motherfuckers are late. Like, I was protesting that shit in 1988. In 1992, I carried on protesting it until around the year 2000. And it was only after that, maybe 6 or 7 years after that, I start seeing people up in the streets talking about, why is it that 1% of the world have got so much money and 98% of the world are fucking starving? But I'm like, yo, motherfuckers, you didn't give a fuck about the 90% of the world who were starving when you were in the 8 or 9% of the world who were doing just fine. When you were in the 8 or 9% of the world, the middle classes, and you were doing just fine, you didn't give a flying fuck about the 90% of the world who were starving. Just adjust my figures for correctness. You get my point. There's 1% of the world, or as the nation teach it, the 5% who were wicked and evil and wise. I can't remember. It's been so long. I can't remember how they break it down. But they break it down in the same way that Occupy Wall Street started to get their head around it. There's a very small percentage of the world who are fucking uber rich. We're talking in the millions, billions, and yes, individuals or families in the fucking trillions. And then you got the middle classes who are really just fucking employees, maybe a couple of, business owners, but a lot of them are just fucking wage slaves and debt slaves. But their ability to get credit and debt and hold a job that pays them regularly allowed them to have a pretty good life. They got to live the American dream. They got a nice house. They got a nice car. They got money to take holidays. And they were happy to vote for systems that impoverished and exploited everybody outside of their circle, not giving a fuck how many starving kids were struggling or parents were struggling to feed their kids at the end of their fucking road, more or less to how their actions and the way they voted and their political allegiances affected people in other countries. So it's this selfish self-interest. And I said before that self-interest isn't selfishness, but selfishness can be presented as self-interest. So it's the selfishness of these people presented as self-interest that when they finally got to the point where, for whatever reason, the 1% had enough power and started to, or I don't even know what the fucking reason was before that. I need a better person than me to break this down. But when it finally got to the point when the middle classes started to get squeezed, maybe 10 odd years ago, maybe more, 10, 12 years ago, the middle classes started to get squeezed. I remember being told by somebody in the UK that David Cameron's agenda was to just fucking squeeze the middle class beyond belief, start taxing them and reducing their fucking real wealth and all this kind of shit. And then we had the recession, the Great Recession of 2008. And all of a sudden, these motherfuckers are in the streets protesting, talking about Occupy Wall Street. These fucking global money men are fucking everything up. Well, you only give a shit now because they're fucking up your shit. But these global money men have been fucking up people's shit since the 18th fucking century. You know, on fucking levels, these fucking organized money men were very clearly behind the insurance and the propagation of slavery, very clearly behind the fact that the families of slave traders were the people compensated for fucking centuries after slavery was abolished. They were the only financial fucking winners, where the actual descendants of the slaves were put into continual cycles of fucking economic poverty. And, you know, and everything since, making money by funding both sides of wars. Like, motherfucker, please. But you never gave a shit about any of that shit. As long as them wars went on your fucking doorstep, your little kid Johnny wasn't sent out to fight in those wars. You didn't give a motherfuck about any of that until you got squeezed. And then you want to be camping out talking about the 5% and the global fucking economic systems and Occupy Wall Street. So I made it very, very clear then, and this is just a extrapolation of the same principle. But let me be very clear. Now we're going from the Great Recession to what's probably going to be a motherfucking depression, where again, now not only people's finances are completely fucked, but their freedoms, their everyday freedoms that they've grown to accept and not accept, but expect as part of their life. The everyday freedoms that they have now grown to expect, not demand, no longer be grateful for. This is just what they expect every fucking day. Now these things are being challenged and taken away, the economic stability that they've grown to expect, and their personal human rights and freedoms that they've grown to expect are now being taken away and challenged. They want to jump up and down and make a lot of fucking noise, and then they expect me to give a fuck. When my economic stability was never fucking secured, and I never expected it, because the system that you supported ensured that I never had economic freedom and economic stability. And my personal freedom, my access to life, liberty, opportunity, success, my expectation of not being mistreated, exploited, or even physically harassed or murdered was never respected by the situation, the society that you supported. So effectively, I think I've said it before, there's a great little fucking postcard I saw that I wish I could find it again, that went along the lines of, you know, have you lost your job? Are you being threatened by policemen? You know, have you lost access to your human rights? Stop complaining, mate. You've only been black for 5 minutes. I wish I could paraphrase it correctly, because it is the fucking answer. And not just black. You know, I know it's always like, no, black people moan about. No, I made this very clear. It's not black. It's Asian. It's Indian. It's gay. It's LGBTQ. There are a number of demographics on this planet who have had their access to financial wealth and stability and their access to genuine inalienable human rights restricted or taken away by the society we live in. And the middle classes, or whatever fucking class, that section of society who aren't in the million, billion and trillionaires, but aren't on the poverty line, supported the system, because although they weren't million, billion and trillionaires, they were hoping one day it would happen. But as long as they weren't on the poverty line, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck who had access to decent health care. They didn't give a fuck who died prematurely because they didn't have access to health care. They didn't give a fuck about who lived their whole life in poverty and misery because they weren't given access to the same opportunities as others. They just didn't give a fuck, because if they did, their actions, their political motivations, their voting, their day-to-day activities in work or socially would have reflected that. But it didn't. It just reflected the fact that they thought that by some fucking miracle, all the good shit that they had was somehow deserved, and all the fucking shit that people didn't have, all the bad shit that they happened to them, was somehow their fucking fault. So you know what? Don't try and bring me this global cabal taking over the world and subjugating human beings to make us slaves. Because you know what? It's been happening, you stupid cunt. It's been happening. I've been living through it, and I spent at least 10 years of my life with it as my major focus to fight it. So not only are you late to begin with this fucking story, you've now hit me at a point in time where I don't give a fuck. Because it ain't new to me. Global conspiracy, global reset, putting people in poverty, the top 1% taking all the fucking riches, and I've been living that for the last 40 years. I know. I was trying to get you to fucking wake up and give a fuck. But you know what? I was hoping you would wake up and give a fuck out of some core moral backbone, some core level of morality of what was right and wrong. Whereas even though you were okay and benefiting from the system, you knew that the system didn't serve everybody, and you at least wanted to see something given to the people who, through no fault of their own, whether it's through racism, subjectism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, Chinophobia, Southeast Asia phobia, whatever the fuck it was, whatever the fucking unfair system or the tenets of that unfair system, you just out of some degree of moral backbone stood up to the system and said, hey, yeah, okay, I'll take a little less if these guys can have more, or even better, I know I'm doing fine, but those guys are doing fucking ridiculously well, and why don't we do something about this system to fucking redistribute it so these guys don't do as badly, because really we are the cause of their fucking poverty suffering. But no, you didn't give a fuck until it came to you. So let us take it back to another very famous statement that I'm going to fucking misquote, but y'all can go find the real shit. I believe it was by a priest about Nazi Germany. Again, I know it was definitely about the Nazis in Germany, but I don't know if it was definitely a priest, but he said something about when they came for the gypsies, I never spoke out. When they came for the blacks, I never spoke out. When they came for all these other demographics, I never spoke out. And so what happened in the end was there was nobody to speak out when they came for me. That's all of you motherfuckers. That's all of you talking about the Great Reset, all of you talking about anti-masking, all of you talking about vaccines, all of you talking about 5G. Fuck all of y'all. Because when it wasn't affecting you, when they were fucking dumping pollution in third world countries or putting up dangerous fucking technologies or running trials or running vaccine trials in third world countries, when they were sterilizing women, all the nefarious shit that we can now prove governments were doing all around the world, you was the free fucking wise monkeys. You didn't see shit, you didn't hear shit, and you definitely didn't speak up about shit. So let the fucking global elite come and enslave the whole fucking world as if it hasn't been doing it all along. Let me repeat. Let the global elite come and enslave the whole fucking world if it hasn't been doing it all along. Because you fucking deserve it. And I tell you what, I don't think my life is going to change that much. As somebody who's been on the receiving end of whatever fucking nefarious exploitation and human demeaning risk of fucking certain death for no reason, as somebody who's been on a higher level of that, and I'm not even on the fucking chart. Let's make this clear. I don't try to big myself up. I'm not even on the fucking chart. I'm not in Somalia land. I'm not in Syria. I'm not in fucking, in any of these places where the probability. I was reading a report yesterday that 177 Brazilians were killed by police in the month of April 2002. And they were talking about the shooting of a 14-year-old boy, and it was a continual report because a 40-year-old man was beaten to death outside of a fucking supermarket. So when I talk about my life being in danger, I'm kind of talking figuratively, as in my uber safe fucking space of living in the West where ain't shit happening to me. Worst thing that's probably going to happen to me is I stub my fucking toe. I'm still the most at risk. But when you leave this bullshit and go into the real fucking world, people who are really starving to death, really getting kidnapped and dragged into sexual fucking slavery, or sold into sexual slavery by their parents. People who are really getting fucking murdered on the streets every fucking day. And some of it not because of their own bad fucking choices, but because of fucking military regimes. SARS in fucking Nigeria. When you get to the real world, your Great Reset shit is just bullshit. What you mean by the Great Reset is now you are being dragged down to the level of all the fucking people that you spend your whole life trying to avoid and ignore. This ain't going to be like no Great Reset like, oh, shit's getting worse. No, shit's getting worse for you, motherfucker. Because now you're getting dragged down to the same level as all the people who you fucking ignored and allowed the exploitation and even supported the exploitation of. The chickens have come back to roost, you bunch of cunts. So don't be coming to me talking about you want my support in helping you fight your battle to maintain your position in society so things are okay for you. Fuck you. Never gave a fuck for anybody else, so why the hell would I be giving a fuck for you? And I'm definitely not going to be preaching and suggesting to anybody else they give a fuck for you. Come down on here and live with us. Global 1%, still the global 1%. They ain't done nothing new to me. They're just doing what they've been doing. They just included you on the shit list. Santa says you've been naughty, bitch, not nice. Santa says, bitch, you've been naughty, not nice. So it's a lump of coal for you, and you've just turned into Black Pete. You're no longer white, you're dumb, you're stupid, and you don't get shit because you're just an ignorant fucker. And we're just going to live up here with our fucking trillions in our automated world, our good healthcare. It's Elysium, motherfucker. So don't bring me that fucking shit. Don't you fucking dare come to tell me that I should give a fuck about your, oh shit, my life is no longer going to be fucking privileged. Everybody get out of the streets and fight for me. Because I was paying attention, at least slightly. I'm not even like a fucking active campaigner, but I at least slightly paid attention to all the other people on this planet who have been living the fucking life that you're scared of living. And now you're thinking that you might actually come face to face with it. You want us to spend our fucking time and energy on saving you, preserving your position in society and your privilege, just so you can turn around and ignore us again and make all the benefits and live off all the fruits of the labor of our exploitation. Fuck you. So I hope I made myself clear. Don't be bringing me any of your anti-mask, anti-vaccine, New World Order, global conspiracy, cabal, Illuminati. I don't hear none of your dumb fucking shit. It's been happening. And people have been suffering from it. So don't think that now that you're suffering from it, I'm going to give a fuck to jump in and try and fucking change it to benefit you. I was trying to change it to benefit everybody, which would have included you if you weren't too fucking busy being sold and selling your soul to the devil in order to protect the little shit that you had and enjoy the superiority that you had from other people. Some lines from films or media are unforgettable. The one that I'll never, ever, ever forget is Mississippi Burning, when Gene Hackman tells a story of his racist dad burning down the black guy's shop. And when being asked by his son why he did it, he said, if you ain't better than a nigger, son, who can you be better than? That's been your whole philosophy, your whole fucking life. Not only the physical ramifications of unwarranted superiority from a position that you were placed in, but the actual mental effects and joy that you feel from feeling mentally superior to other people who have been suffering again because of a position you were placed in and refused to challenge or even champion the people who were at a lower position than you through no fault of their own. It always allowed you to be better than the niggers. And I don't mean black people by niggers. By niggers, I mean everybody suffering at the bottom of society through exploitation. It always allowed you to be better than them, no matter what race, demographic, sexual orientation, age, sex, whatever demographic they were, you were better than them, and it allowed you to be better than them. So you were happy, you were good with the way society was structured, and didn't pay a lot of attention to the fact that there was a great reset going on every fucking year for all the other people who were suffering. But Ishaka Musa Barashango said it, that before Europeans went to the New World, white people were the niggers. You had your kings, your queens, your lords, your landed gentry, and then your peasants. And that was you, motherfuckers. And they just allowed you to raise your head above the parapet long enough just because they found other people to exploit. And you were so fucking selfish and self-interested and so greedy and spineless that you jumped at the fucking chance. And now, through whatever mechanism's going on, they're pushing you right back to where they had you when you was a fucking serf. When all they allowed you to do was eat a handful of fucking vegetables from the land that you worked for the Lord. And you don't want to go back there and you just think, I am meant to give a fuck to come and help you. Fuck out of here. So I hope I've made my position clear about this. Not like anybody's asking me, but I don't want to hear any of you fucking ask me no dumb shit about me coming out to support any of your stupid fucking protests. I'm glad to see some of you are going in them streets finally after fucking waging your Twitter wars and your Facebook wars. I'm glad. Go out in them streets. Fight the government. Get beaten the fuck up. Get arrested. Get a criminal record like we had to do when we had to fight for our fucking rights. Don't be fucking calling for me. Don't call my name. Don't be looking for me. You go fight for your shit. Like I had to go fight for mine when you couldn't give a fuck. And I'm out.
It gaff till it gaff. It gaff till it gaff. I'm illy with the till it gaff. Illy with the till it gaff. Nit gaff, nit gaff. Nit gaff, nit gaff.